I think we get caught up in so much of the minutia once we get into the carnivore space about what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's seasonal. You need 400 grams of fructose a day in the form of fruit juice, or you don't. It should be very strict. And I think most people just think beef, salt water, and it becomes like this thing that's too strict that people can't adhere to. If they
Can be.
understand the nuances of how different people are presenting the diet, it gives people options, and it means you don't have to be super strict 100% of the time. You can allow for certain things, and you can relax a little bit. And I think that's what kind of throws off a lot of the beginners from actually
Mm.
trying. And so, for a beginner, what would you recommend that they do as far as if they had an interest in pursuing an animal-based diet, a carnivore diet, anywhere, anything along that road?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to initially, why are they doing it? That's the biggest thing. If they're doing it because they've got really serious autoimmune problems, they're metabolically really sick, I think they probably do need to be a bit stricter with it. Especially with the autoimmune conditions. A carnivore diet really at its heart is an elimination diet. And all the big names in the carnivore world, they'll tell you the same thing. It's an elimination diet. You don't need to necessarily stay on an elimination diet the rest of your life, but you can do if you want to. People do FODMAP diets, low FODMAPs. They for IBS, for example, they'll stay on it for the rest of their life if they find it okay. But you don't have to necessarily. So if you've got really serious autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, for example, ulcerative colitis, it makes sense to take out as much as possible, go as pure as possible. Because if you add up pretty much every elimination diet across the world, you add them all together, you're basically left with beef. That's pretty much what you're left with: beef, salt, water. Even things like eggs, bacon, etc. They might be taken out. But for a lot of people, that is just a bit too strict. And so if, again, you're the kind of person, I deal in real life. I see real people, real patients. They're not some, just person on the internet, whatever. I can say, oh, just go and do this, and go away. They come back and say, but I can't do that. Like, I live in real life, like, what do I do for lunches? What do I do for takeaways? What do I do at work? This kind of stuff, which interferes with that. So often I'll say to people, look, just, you can be a little bit relaxed. It's okay. And I'll even take it back to, I'd say 30 days. I know people like Dr. Berry says 90 days. I say 30 days because 90 days for a lot of people is too much.
Long
It's too
time.
long to commit to 3 months. For them, it's hard. And bearing in mind, like, I'm seeing often are people who are morbidly obese, BMI of like 60. They have got type 2 diabetes. They've got really serious, health conditions. They're taking 20 medications. For them, the idea of switching their diet to something extreme for 3 months is too much. They
Yeah,
just,
I would.
they mentally can't cope with that, because most of these people, they've done it. They haven't done carnivore, but in their mind, they've done every diet going.
Yeah,
They've
for
done
sure.
everything going. And it's all failed inevitably
Yeah.
because they're at where they're at. And so in their mind, it's just another thing that's going to fail. And 3 months is too much for them to commit. So 30 days is a lot more palatable. It's 1 month.
Yep.
Even then, I'll say to people, look, go 2 weeks, do a week, do a day, do a meal. I'll take it back to that point with them. Just do one meal, just eat a steak. Don't cook the veggies, don't cook the fries, don't have the salad, just have the steak. If you want, go out to a restaurant, pay for a really overpriced steak, but go to a restaurant, get someone else to cook it for you. If you don't know how to cook steak, go to a restaurant, just eat the steak. See how you feel. Did you die? No, you can do it. you
That's
know,
amazing.
did you feel terrible? No, you can do this. And then it's the next meal. And then it's the next meal and the next meal. And then one meal turns into 3 meals. 3 meals is a day. And then you've got a day turns into a week and then a month. And just go until you don't feel good. Inevitably,
Yeah,
they get to a month and they feel great.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
usually what happens.
It's so approachable the way you make it. I'm so much more willing to bet that somebody doing 30 days will do the exact same thing that I did when I got to 30 days and say, well, I feel
Yeah.
great at 30 days. I'm probably going to do this on day 31.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe I'll go the 3 months. That's it. And I
Yeah.
say to people that it's okay to slip up. So much diet culture is based around you have to do it perfectly. And that's just not real life. And so people inevitably give up. And it's human nature. If you step outside, if you slip up, you fall off that wagon, most people will just run away from the wagon. They won't get back on it. They won't get back on the diet. They'll just go, well, it didn't work. I give up. I can't do it. It's too hard. So if you make it a little bit less strict for people, it's a lot easier for them. If they want to go strict, fine, no problem. I tell people prioritize fatty meat because that makes you feel the best. So beef typically is the most bioavailable and it tastes the best to most people. But I say to them, look, if you don't like beef, don't eat beef. It's fine. This is not a super strict, you don't have to eat beef and that's it. It's like if you don't like eating something, you tell that person that's all they can eat. Are they going to follow that diet? No, they're never going to follow that diet because they don't like what they're being told to eat. If they want to eat chicken, that's fine. Put a bit of butter, fry it in butter or something. Get some fat because you'll feel terrible otherwise. But you go eat the chicken. That's fine. Pick, the tastiest meal you can imagine and eat that as your first meal. For me, that's a juicy ribeye. But for other people, maybe it's prawns. Maybe it's pasta, not pasta. Sorry. So like I was thinking like seafood linguine, whatever. You don't really want to eat pasta on a carnivore diet. But maybe even then they're like, okay, well, I just can't do that. Okay, well, fine. We'll make the seafood linguine, but just make less pasta. Go heavy on the prawns, heavy on the seafood. That's okay. You can ease into it if you want to. You don't have to just split overnight. Right now I'm carnivore. No, you can ease into it if you like, and do a day, do a meal, do a day, do a week, whatever it is. And then you'll get to that 30 days and then you decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
The next thing I say to people is, right, okay, think about your most favorite meal. But if you eat that every day for the rest of your life, you're probably going to be pretty bored. You have to have some sort of variation. I use this analogy of a chocolate cake. So I say to people, right, okay, because they're like, oh yeah, steak every day. That sounds amazing. And I say, yeah, okay, but imagine this, right? There's a magic chocolate cake. I'll give it to you for free. I'll pay for it. Okay. You can eat this magic chocolate cake tonight for dinner and it's guilt-free. It will fix all your problems, all your life's problems, this magical chocolate cake. And it tastes amazing because it's chocolate cake. It tastes amazing, right? And it won't make you unhealthy. It'll fix all your problems. It's magic. And they're like, yeah, that sounds nice. I'll have that. I say, great. And now you can eat it tomorrow as well. Oh, that sounds good. And now you can eat it the next day. Yeah, that sounds really good. Okay, now you can eat it every day for a week. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Now you can eat it every day for a month. Oh, that sounds all right. Now you have to eat it every single day, every single meal. There's nothing else you can ever eat other than magical chocolate cake for the rest of your life. Suddenly, it just doesn't sound as appealing. It's still the same magical chocolate cake. It's still going to fix all life's problems, but you just don't want it anymore. So a little bit of variation is actually really important as well. So I tell people you must vary it. You must make it a little bit different because it's human nature. You eat the same thing 24/7, you'll get bored.
Yeah. No, that's really great advice. But I think for two sugar addicts like you and I, having chocolate cake every single day does sound pretty good. I could probably crush that way too often than I care to admit. Um,
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Okay, so as far as results, I got this question in a consultation yesterday. I actually got the same question that you just answered, which was fantastic. What about chicken and fish? Are these allowed? And it's like, yeah, of course they're allowed, but I prefer you try to lean towards beef if you can do it. If that is what sounds good. Another question I got was the guy I was doing the consultation with, his girlfriend is doing the diet also. She has some body fat to lose. She wants to bring her weight down and her body fat down. And she is fairly kind of scale oriented as far as what's going to tell her whether she's going to get to her goals. I kind of had some thoughts about that. I would love to hear your thoughts about doing a carnivore diet, especially not just for fat loss, but for weight loss. I'm looking at the scale.
Yes. Yeah. The scale lies. Basically, simply put, the scales lie. Scales often can vary. I mean, like in the course of a day, I can put on like 4 kilos in the course of a day. Weigh myself in the morning, weigh myself in the evening. Yeah, it's changed like 3-4 kilos. So you have to be consistent in when you're weighing yourself if you're going to use the scales. I recommend people, if they're going to do that, they weigh themselves first thing in the morning They get up, they go to the toilet, go to the bathroom, do what they need to do, then jump on the scales, because that's what there's going to be the most consistent, not at the end of the day, because what you eaten over the course of the day makes a difference. But after a sleep, your bowel gas, all the rest of it is, pretty low. That's going to be the most consistent. But really the main thing is the scales lie, and they are a very poor way of judging health. They're a very poor way of judging fat loss. When I started the carnivore diet, my weight went up like 4 kilos in the space of like 2 weeks. And I was not happy about that, or I would have been not happy about that had I not been measuring other measurements. So one of the best measurements that you can do, most simple, is abdominal circumference. So around the belly button, not around the hips, around the belly button, is probably the best single measurement that you can do. Again, do it first thing in the morning, because bowel gas, etc., that will distend your tummy over the course of the day, and that will vary. So again, first thing in the morning. Abdominal circumference really tells you if you're losing fat for most people. It's a very simple measure. If that's going down, you're losing fat. Doesn't matter what the scales say. By all means, combine it with the scales. And then if your weight's going up, well, you're actually putting on muscle, which is good. That's what we want, or lean body mass. But yeah, abdominal circumference really is the best. And you can buy like body calipers, and I've got some as well. But people often find a way to kind of, I'll do it enough times, whatever, keep moving it around. Again, you got to do it in exactly the same place. You can do like a 27-point body caliper, whatever, if you really want to. Who's got time for that? No, I don't have time for that. Or you just do your abdominal circumference. They actually correlate pretty well.
Yeah. Save your money. Save your money, whatever it takes for you to invest, save up several months if you have to buy a piece of string. That's what you need. And,
yeah, basically.
And I'll tell you too, I was in a room with a bunch of personal trainers at the company I used to work with. Our department had maybe 25, 30 personal trainers. And we did a test one day where we had a subject in another room, and one by one, the personal trainers would go in and do his body fat via calipers. The variance of personal trainers who do this really well, it was like a 10% variance delta between, the lowest and the highest guesses and everything in between. It just doesn't tell you anything.
No.
And a scale will tell you your gravity on planet Earth. That's not a good indication of health. So I love that.
Yep.
I kind of mentioned the same thing. Is like sometimes on a carnivore diet, you're going to be replenishing nutrients and building muscle. Maybe your bone density is going to improve. So check waist circumference, or maybe take before pictures. Take a picture of yourself, for a front view, side view. Don't show anybody. Just keep it on your phone, because in a few weeks, a few months, you will be so astounded at how you look.
Absolutely. Pictures are a really good way. And pictures are very motivational as well. But yeah, very, very simple: pictures or abdominal circumference. That's pretty much, I don't tell people to throw out the scales, but I do tell them, scales lie.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's a great way to say that. I want to ask you a very common question I get from beginners as well: tracking. What should I track? How do I know my macros? How many calories should I be eating? What do you tell people about tracking when they're on the carnivore diet?
Basically that you don't really need to. Pretty much. And that's one of the beauties of the carnivore diet. I mentioned previously, I'm the loophole guy. There are no loopholes really in the carnivore diet as such. You could introduce some loopholes if you start to eat a bit of fruit, whatever, fine. But there are no real loopholes. So it's eat. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Again, it's common sense. It's coming back to that common sense. Eat intuitively, eat till you're full. Eat till you're satisfied, satiated, not full to bursting, but just satiated. And if you're hungry, eat. If you're not, don't. Prioritize fatty meats, and typically listen to your body. Your body will tell you what to eat. Your human body has been evolving over millions of years. It knows what to do. You open the fridge and you think, all right, I'm gonna have chicken tonight. But you open the fridge and that chicken just looks like, nah. And the beef looks, oh yeah, eat the beef. It's your body telling you there's something in this beef I want you to eat. You open the fridge, you're going to go beef, and the beef like, nah, the chicken looks really good. Eat the chicken. There's something in there that your body wants. Your body knows what's in food because it's had millions of years of evolution. It knows through your DNA, it knows what's in food. It'll tell you what to eat. If you eat a stick of butter and it tastes like heaven on earth, It's because your body's been craving something in that butter. And I did this experiment a little while ago. I got a bit of butter and I cut a slice off. And that first, and I was, this is near when I started carnivore, and I could not go to the bathroom. I just wasn't eating enough fat. And I knew this was an issue. So I was like, I need to eat some fat. Like, what fat have I got? Right, butter. Okay. Eat some butter. Cut a thing of butter off. Oh my God. It tasted like heaven on earth. The best thing that I've ever tasted in my life. And then I ate another piece and it tasted amazing. And I ate another piece and it tasted really good. And I ate another piece and it tasted good and okay. And then not quite so good. And then eventually it was like, this tastes horrible. Like, how can it go from the heaven on earth to this doesn't taste good to me anymore? It's the same thing. It's the same packet of butter. I didn't open another one and it was off or something. It was the same one. It's my body saying, okay, you've had enough of this now. So when something stops tasting good, that's your body saying, put the brakes on. You're done. That's okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to necessarily finish the steak.
Yep.
Put it back in the fridge, eat it later.
Yep.
It's fine. So listen to your body. You open the fridge, it's telling you what to eat. Something looks good, tastes good, smells good. Your body wants it. If it doesn't, your body doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. It's not that complicated. Generally speaking, we want to aim for around 70, maybe 75, 80% fat, calories from fat. But again, if you prioritize fatty meats, like ribeye, chuck roast, things like that, again, like not everyone's eating ribeyes 24/7. You know, I'm not. I know I did it for a month. That was 1 month. You know, most like go for the fatty mints, go for the chuck roasts, you know, go for briskets, these fatty meats. You're going to be like 99% of the way there without even worrying about calories, without even worrying about macros. And then you just eat it until it stops tasting good.
Yeah.
And you eat when you're hungry, you don't when you're not. I don't think we need to force fasting on a carnivore diet. Again, you listen to your body. It's pretty simple.
I love it. No, I love it. And your note on fasting, it's like you'll be so surprised starting with 3 meals a day, how quickly you're going to want to naturally go to two, and then maybe to one, and then
Yep.
maybe bounce back to two. And I think you've done such an amazing job explaining to beginners out there how they can incorporate this diet and how they can continue to do that for the rest of their life, or how they can mix things in. So I really appreciate you going there with me to create that kind of beginner's guide.